Welcome to the Gangster of Consciousness. My name is Katherine McIntosh, rebel, entrepreneur, mom, global access consciousness certified facilitator, body intuitive, and founder of the No Judgement Diet, bringing you conversations to inspire you to follow your knowing and be the rebel by listening to your gut despite what anyone else might say. This is about being willing to go against the norm to create magnificence in every area of your life. Genius was not created by following the rules. All right, my magical friends, I am so grateful to be here. It's been a while since I've recorded a podcast, and I have my amazing friend, coworker, I don't know what to call you, just an incredible being, guest with me today, named Betsy McLaughlin. And she is just a phenomenal being. And she is also an Access Consciousness certified facilitator, has done a lot with business, used to do real estate, maybe still does real estate, dabbles, yeah.
I still do, yep.
And also just is a great player. And I met Betsy, I want to say, we've probably been in each other's lives 5-6 years.
Yeah.
And so I'm so excited to have this conversation with Betsy today, because we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, bodies, one of her favorite topics, bodies. And we're going to kind of just talk about the journey of what it's like to, instead of get a result with your body, create communion with your body, and how creating communion with your body actually creates the result. Judgment does not create a result. So welcome, Betsy, to the podcast, and I'm so grateful to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm super excited to be here as well.
So I kind of want to dive straight into Betsy's journey and your journey. So Betsy, you just told me before we started that you have lost 100 pounds since December.
Mm-hmm.
That is freaking phenomenal. And I'm wondering if you want to talk a little bit about your journey and what got you there. And because I'm sure there was a whole lot before that. And yeah, I wonder if you could just talk a little bit about it.
Oh yeah. I mean, basically my whole entire life has been, and what it was interesting is I actually had a realization not too long ago about a lot of points of view that had been projected at me my whole life about how you can't lose weight. It's hard to lose weight. It's always a battle. And so that was the point of view I had, that it was always going to be a battle. It was always going to be a fight. And so I've been up and down and up and down and up and down my whole entire life. I was put on a liquid diet at the age of 10. Just this god awful tasting stuff that that started, so I had all these things projected at me my whole entire life about my size and about how you weren't lovable if you weren't a certain size. And if you were bigger than that, nobody would love you, and all of those things. So I fought against it in every way possible, including going to the point of eating so much. At one point in my life, I weighed 500 pounds.
Wow.
Right. So I was like, I will, that's not true. I will prove it wrong. And so I did. And then it was like, okay, that really wasn't my greatest choice. And I was mad at my body. Like, how could my body let me down like that? How come other people can eat? I went to feeling very sorry for myself, being very angry at my body, none of which is actually what my body desired or what I actually desired, but it was. And so I had a lot of force. I did diet after diet after diet after diet, and I would force, and it worked for a little while. And then you get tired of feeling, I always felt very restricted, and deprived. well, how come I can't eat these things I really like? You know, all of that, and feeling sorry for myself. And I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And it's very interesting to navigate this world at 500 pounds. And some of the things that most people don't even think about that you have to look at. So I had that whole journey, and I lost quite a bit of weight, but I couldn't get past like this certain size. And I'd been this size, for many years. And then I was like, well, I guess that's just the size I'm going to be. Okay. I'm grateful it's not 500 pounds, but, you know, and I still had like a lot of judgment and projections at my body about like, how come, why can't I, what's wrong with me, what's wrong with my body, I suck, you know, all of those things. And everything that was projected at me through the medical community and other people, and learning. I was so grateful to find the tools of Access Consciousness that really started to change this journey for me of, and it still was a journey. So I have been playing with the tools for about 7 years now, I think. And I kind of got the concept of communion with your body and what that is, and started to learn to talk to your body. I found Katherine and her beautiful program, and you know, everything about the judgment, and I got it. And then there was still part of me that resisted it, and you know, I was still going to some default. And so fast forward to December of this past year, and I woke up one day in tremendous body pain, like tremendous pain, stiffness. And I thought, oh my God, I feel as old as my freaking 90-year-old mother. And something like clicked inside of me, and I was like, no, this is not going to be my life. No. And I was like, okay, what is required here? And I truly like had that communion moment with my body. I said, body, I am so sorry. I have, you know, I go to communion and then I was out of communion, overriding, like I would get hits of what she desired, but I was like, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. Or no, I'm going to eat this anyhow, you know, that kind of thing. So that's what I mean about the overriding. And I was like, okay, I surrender. Body, show me what you would like to do. I am so sorry. And you've been turning up your volume and I've been ignoring you. Now it's so loud that I can't ignore you anymore. Because I started going down this path, and I used to have a ton of pain all the time and barely could walk. And that got way better with all the tools of access and the body processes and losing the weight I had lost, you know, so there's this whole long journey. And what I heard was, and very clearly, was cut out the sugar. Like, okay. So, and I started just every single day asking my body, and I still do, you know, body, what do you require today? What would you like to eat? What would you like to drink? What would you like to wear? And so on that is now like truly for the first time ever, I don't have that. It's a fight. It's a battle. It's impossible, all those things that I had bought my whole freaking life. And I was like, when I had that realization a couple of months ago, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. So that's my Reader's Digest version of my journey to that. And I remember saying it was December 18th. And the reason that date stood out so clearly for me was like, wait, that's a week before Christmas. well, oh my God, if I do it now, then that means I won't have my, I won't be doing my baking and my normal Christmas stuff and blah, blah. And I was like, Betsy, you could do that. You could wait a week, or you could wait until January 2nd or whatever. And how many times have you done that? Or are you going to listen to what your body is asking you for? I was like, okay, all right, it's 1 year. Okay, cool. Who really cares? Is anybody going to even really notice besides you? Okay. So that's how come the date stood out so clearly for me. So I've done a lot of talking here.
Oh, it's like, I mean, I had tears of gratitude earlier because the, the whole reason I started the No Judgment Diet in the first place was,
Yeah.
was I was sick and tired of feeling sick and tired
Yeah.
of hating my body when I knew that there was a different possibility. And so
Yes.
it was pretending that I was fine.
Yes.
Underneath the surface, I was probably spending 23 hours a day hating everything about my body, hating my choices, hating, like, I mean, it just, and so the tears are how many women out there, and men don't talk about it. Men go through the same freaking thing.
Correct.
They just don't talk about it. It's not as socially acceptable
Yeah.
as it is for a woman to be like, I have body issues. And
Right.
so the amount of people sitting at home suffering in
Yeah.
pain, silently dying inside because
Yeah.
they want to change, but they don't know what to do. And the only
Yes.
thing that's available that we've been taught that's supposed to work
Yes.
is a diet, which a diet is, let me give you a formula
Yes.
that tells you to follow somebody else's formula that might have worked for them. But
Yes.
in the meantime, while you're following the formula, you're going to judge whether or not you're getting it right, whether you're doing it wrong, whether your body's going to even accept the formula. And then the whole thing is you're doing this formula. And while you're doing the formula, you have to cut off your awareness
Yes.
where the whispers of lightness to change are.
So true.
And I think, what you're bringing to the table, Betsy, is this conversation where those people that are out there that have suffered for, years and decades and lifetimes,
Yes.
that communion is a different possibility. But it's like, it can't, like, I can't tell you how to have a relationship with your husband that works for you. Only you know truly deep down, and only your husband truly knows deep down. You guys, like, you can't tell a parent how to parent their, like,
Right.
every single one of us has a different experience for what truly creates the greatness of
Mm-hmm.
experience.
Yeah.
So my curiosity is,
Yeah.
as you've been losing this 100 pounds, and as you've been on this journey with your body, what are some of the things that have shown up for you that have surprised you?
Mm. What a beautiful question. Yeah. So, I had heard the message about, cut out the sugar. And then what surprised me was really how little food my body requires. And now there are some days where I was doing it naturally and didn't realize until later I found out about intermittent fasting. So, and sometimes I don't eat till 4 or 5 o'clock at night. I might have one meal. I might not eat. I might have 2 meals, or, so it's that how little my body actually requires versus how much food I was actually eating. So that was one thing that surprised me. The other thing was how much sugar is hidden in food. Because and remember I said that question, like, how come I can't get past this certain size? Well, when I started looking at all of the labels, there's so much hidden stuff. I was like, oh, I actually, for what my body requires right now, and it doesn't mean that it will always be like that, and I get that, but for now, she required a lower amount of sugars. So even if I thought I wasn't really eating that much, it was more than my body could process. So I've learned a lot about insulin resistance and different things that have answered questions for me that I've had about my body my whole life.
Wow.
That nobody ever talked about. I'm like, why are people not talking about this piece of it? So, so that was a surprise. And then how easy it's been. Having the communion with my body, it has been the easiest thing I've ever done. And that's where that whole thing unraveled for me of that it has to be hard. It has to be difficult. And now I don't think about food much at all. And, it used to be, what am I going to have for breakfast? What's going to be for lunch? Like when you're in an office environment, you walk in and it's like, what are we having for lunch? It's just like food becomes this whole big obsession and it's just not important anymore. So it's really, really cool to see that. And when I first cut out, had such a drastic change in my eating, I was kind of sick for a while. My body, and I knew, and I kept asking questions of my body, do you require what do you require? And I said, is this like purging the for lack of a better word, because I'm not a medical person, but like purging toxins and stuff, and it was like, yeah, it's like, okay, cool. Then whatever's required, let's just do it. And of course, since then I've learned I could have done some other things, but I didn't know, and, but it's, yeah, so I would say it's way easier than I ever thought it would be. Cause I thought, well, here I go. I'm going to be depriving myself again. I don't have that point of view at all. At all. And if I really wanted to eat something, if my body desired to have sugar or whatever, I would have it. It's like, okay, cool. Because I have, and that whole thing about not having a point of view about it, and you talked about the judgment piece, is huge, huge.
Yeah. So I have so many questions
Yeah.
I can ask. So
Yes.
I'm going to ask you, one, what was your experience of cutting out sugar? And you talked about getting sick, and you said
Yeah.
you would, looking back, would have done a couple things differently. What would
Yes.
you have done differently for those people that might be
Yeah.
there looking for something?
Yeah. Well, one of the things was learning that I was shedding so much fluid that I should have been adding electrolytes and salt. So I had a lot of like flu-like symptoms. And now I add some electrolytes. Again, I asked my body, do you desire electrolytes today? Yes or no? So that was one of them. And then just like educating myself on what my body was doing with the excess sugars and that it just couldn't handle. So then it all gets stored in your body. And so that was a lot of what was coming out. And being kind to my body during all of that and not getting mad at her. Because like, wait a minute, because I could have gone to the space of, well, wait a minute, you want me to cut out sugar and then I'm getting really sick. But it was like, no, okay, if this is all just part of it, how much ease could it be? So I started asking that question, how much ease can we have with all of this? And again, just having that communion with my body and saying, thank you. And then just the realization of, holy moly, the change and transformation that we were going through and still are creating is just, wow.
That's amazing. So you also had asked that this experience has answered a lot of questions that you've had since you were little.
Yeah.
Can you talk about what some of those questions were?
Yeah. Well, I was a competitive tennis player on scholarship. And at one point I almost turned pro, went the whole pro routine for, and then I decided not to because I wanted more of a a normal life. Right. But even when I was working out all the time and lifting weights and running and playing tennis hours a day, I still had that point of view that there was like something wrong with my body, that how come I wasn't, 120 pounds when I was exercising all day and lifting weights all day and all of these things. And so it was, again, like, what was I projecting at my body? So then I had that. So I knew that I had that athleticism in my background. And then so you have from going from and I used to teach tennis and everything. So I was a professional in that manner, all the way to the other end of the spectrum where it was 500 pounds, where I couldn't do anything. And I look at all of that and go, wow, like the capacities our bodies have, it just blows me away. Absolutely blows me away. So, if somebody's out there like listening to this going, yeah, but, well, I've done all of those, both spectrums. And what I found fascinating was actually how our bodies always have our backs. She has never once judged me, ever. Oh, I'm getting chills and I'm going to cry here. Have I judged the living frick out of myself? Absolutely. She never did. And she's always there and she's always got my back. And when I realized that, Katherine, it was just, oh my God. Yeah. And that's where having that true sense of communion with her and be like, oh my God, I am so sorry. Like from the bottom of my soul, I'm sorry. And thank you for being there. And thank you for never giving up on me and like supporting me. And I was very fortunate. I didn't have a ton of I didn't have a stroke or heart attack or all the things that were being projected at me at the 500 pounds. Like, you're going to die, you're going to keel over, you're going to have a heart attack. I mean, like the stuff that, and if you would just stop eating, and if you would just this, and if you would just that, and, people, total strangers come up to you and say, you should try this diet. And like, all of that stuff. And I put it all on me.
Yeah.
I
mean, I think that's so huge, and I talk about it so much. I mean, I'm a geek and a junkie on this topic, because ultimately it's when you're functioning from a place where you think something's wrong with you.
Yes.
It's almost impossible to know what to choose in order to change. And so oftentimes we're making decisions from the place of something's wrong with me.
Yeah.
And when you make a decision from the place of something's wrong with you, you're not actually operating from your highest awareness. You're operating from your limited judgment. And I think that's the biggest message for so many people.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with you.
No.
There's nothing wrong with your body.
No, and no matter what size you were, and that was one of the things I fought against so much, was like, no matter what size I am, I'm me. Whether I weigh 100 pounds or I weigh 1,000,000 pounds, I'm still me. And that's where so much of that is not, it's so much tied up into what you look like. And that was, I think, really one of the things I fought against with my mother, especially, who really projected all that stuff at me. And then I went to prove her wrong, and, all of that stuff that we do. But it's, you are you no matter what. And, the essence of who you be has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with what you look like.
Yeah. And I would say, I would add on to that, the essence of who you are has nothing to do with your judgments.
Correct.
Like your
Absolutely. Yeah.
judgments just mask it. And so whether it shows up in the form of weight, whether it shows up in the form of financial struggle, whether
Yeah.
it shows up in the form of, personal shame or relationship struggles or what, like we all have
Yeah.
places where we secretly hide that we don't think we're good enough.
Right.
And that is like judgment flashing a neon sign in terms of like that really limits our choices. So I'm so grateful for this conversation. So the maybe the last, well, it doesn't have to be the last question, but the question I have is, now that you have lost the weight and you're 100 pounds and probably a really different being in the sense of
Yeah.
you are being you more than you ever have.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about what is now different for you in terms of looking at the future and looking at creation and looking at, because so often it's never about the body, it's never about the weight, it's never about the money, it's just the excuse we use to stop ourselves, right? So what's
Absolutely.
different for you now? How do you see the future different, and what would you say to somebody out there listening?
Wow. What a beautiful question. How do I see the future? Limitless. Yeah, like they're really that I can create anything that I desire to create and continue to create with my body. And we're still morphing and changing and communing. And she's recently asked me to start adding some resistance training. And the other day I was walking and I was like, God, I'm walking so much faster. Like, and it just felt really good. And then my body's like, yeah, we're going to be able to start running soon. I was like, yes. And I was like, and can we get on the tennis court? It was like, yes. I'm like, yes, and having that joy and the joy of whatever it is. And so I've been doing resistance training, and already I've been able to double the amount of things, and I was like, yay, body. And it would show me what else you would like. So I'm constantly asking her, what else would you like to do? So from that, the energy, obviously when you don't have all those extra pounds to carry around, it is easier. And my husband was saying the other day, he's like, just imagine, would you be able to pick up 100 pounds, 200 pounds, because at my I'm almost 300 pounds, 300 pounds since my heaviest weight. Like, there's no way I could freaking lift that. I'm right now, I don't even know if I could lift 50. I probably could, but like, could you just go? And you were carrying that around every day, all day long. It's like, holy moly, when you think about that, right? So no wonder I feel stronger. No wonder I have way more energy. And so then, like, being able to incorporate physical activity back in my life where it was not possible anymore because it was so painful. And one of my asks was, I would like to be able to walk. I would like to be able to go for long walks and, all of these things that I had deprived myself from. I'd cut myself. So my life was, like this, of the things that I could physically do. And so now that's, it's opened way back up. And so things like being able to ride a horse. Well, I couldn't even climb on a horse. It wasn't even possible. Okay, well, now it is, right? Yeah, I might still need a little help up until I get my upper strength up, but it's possible. And it's all of these things where before I was telling myself it was impossible. Probably, yeah, we probably could have figured out how to get me on a horse at 500 pounds, but I had decided it was out of my world, right? So now I don't have those same decisions of all of these things that are impossible and out of my world. So that's when I say, like, the possibilities, they're there. Yeah. So.
Well, I mean, and you said something earlier, and like it
Yeah.
really truly is when we stop the fight,
Yes.
when we stop the struggle, when we stop judging the wrongness, when you enter into communion, what's
Yes.
available is adding the joy
Yes.
back in,
Yes.
and the joy is what creates the body. The joy is
Mhm.
what creates eliminating pain. The joy is like,
Yes.
money follows joy. Like the joy is truly the
Yeah.
gift that opens the door to why we're here. Because
Yeah.
if we can't have fun, what the fuck is the point? Excuse my
Well,
French.
it's so true. Oh, and the piece I wanted to be sure to say was within 3 days of, changing what I was putting in my mouth, the pain was gone. The stiffness was gone. And that's where I was like, oh my God, body, you are so much smarter than me. And I tell my body that all the time. You are so much smarter than me. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad I'm listening to you. Finally, I'm listening to you.
Wow.
And anybody else who had a relationship with someone who didn't listen for as many years as I didn't listen to my body, or I'd listen and then I wouldn't listen. Would you even have a relationship with that person? Or would you be like, my body never did that. So just like, thank God. Thank you, body. Yeah. So within 3 days, pain gone, stiffness gone.
Your
Like,
computer's agreeing with us.
I know, sorry.
It's okay. It's agreeing. So, yeah, like I'm so grateful, and just to witness your journey and to watch you come out of your shell, and
Yeah.
it's like the more that we can share these experiences, it's like it invites people to know, especially those people that think it's not possible for them, to see that little by little it is possible, but it's not
Yeah.
it's not from a place of judgment. And that's why I created the No Judgment Diet. And so
Yes.
so what's next, Betsy? What are you creating? What are you doing on the planet? What would you like to share with people? um
Everything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that Betsy secretly is a master at graphics, and just has a brilliant eye for the way aesthetically the way things look, when it comes to marketing and back end, and it's really
Thank you.
so yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and what's really funny is I've dynamically refused for so long my capacities with bodies, because I had the judgment, who would want to talk to me when I'm overweight and I can't even get my own shit together, and so I stopped myself. And now I'm not stopping myself. It's like, God, I know so much. And so like to have that, and so I'm creating all kinds of stuff with that. And so I have a actual program, a 21 days of creating yumminess with your body. And yeah, I'm like so excited about that. And from that, just I'll be offering tools and tips every day for 21 days, and then have a Zoom at the end. And who knows what else. There's all, like, the amount of things that are asking to be created around all of this is just like, holy moly. And I'm not stopping it anymore. And you said the thing, like coming out of hiding, right? And so coming out of hiding for me and shedding all of this stuff that, and we all have it in different ways. But for me, I chose to have it be all this extra weight. And now that is being shed, and like I'm allowing me to be here. It's like, what else is possible? And I really want to, thank you for your contribution. Like that, Katherine has a tenacity and her desire for, 10 million plus people to be out of judgment of their bodies. And her contribution to so many people is just, and I asked myself, is like, and you would not be a contribution to somebody for what reason, Betsy? And I was like, oh, because I was so in judgment that I couldn't see that even that could be a contribution. right? So I had just shut all those doors. And so I thank you, like just your facilitation and your brilliance and what you've seen in your journey and what you've gone through. And I was like, well, I can't do what Katherine does. And Katherine is this and that. And, like, so I was doing a comparison thing, like all of that stuff that we do. And it's like, no, Katherine is amazing. And so are you. And like everybody listening, you're all amazing and you're all beautiful and you all have phenomenal capacities and talents and things you don't even know that you're beautiful and talented at yet. And I'm so grateful for your contribution to so many people and to me as well. And thank you for just, God, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's you said something. I'll receive that, and we forget sometimes when we're on these missions. I've been on a mission. I forget sometimes the impact, and it's always nice to hear. And it's what for me the gift is watching people choose.
Yes.
People change. Like to me, that's the biggest gift and acknowledgement of these tools and of our choices to embody something different that hasn't been mainstream, but it's mainstream.
Yeah. And that was that question is like, why are people not talking about this? Why are, like,
because we're supposed to.
It's like, holy shit, really? Yeah. Okay. Then let's do it, Katherine. Like, let's just link arms and do it. And like, because even just as we know, as facilitators, which we're so honored to facilitate for people and see when they're making a change and a choice, and it's just like, oh, it's so incredibly beautiful to watch and such an honor to be part of. And and I would just, again, thank you. And for anybody who might be in that space of, well, I don't know what to do, what could you do? What could you choose today? What communion? You can even just start by saying, God, body, I have no idea what to do. I have no idea what to say to you. Like, I say that, and I'm like, body, you speak a different language than me, so I don't always understand what you're telling me. I've said that to her, I'm sure you have too, right? Like, what?
Speaking Japanese, and I'm not a very good translator.
I have no clue what you're saying. But even that, where you can just, and have fun with yourself, and any place that you go to that judgment, like, just what else? What could you be grateful for? What could you be grateful for?
You said something that I kind of wanted to come back to because it feels so relevant and important. And, whether people get this now when they listen or they get it a year from now is, you were talking about how you didn't think that you had a capacity with bodies because you were personally judging your size and your weight and your shape. And how could someone your size and shape have a capacity? And I think that to me is one of, like, it makes me want to cry. It's one of the most important things is so often we're hiding the gift and the brilliance and the biggest impact we can make on the planet behind the thing we judge the most. And so whether it's your bankruptcy or financial, acuity, like we will take, or relationships, or just self-esteem and, personal self-awareness, we will take the thing that we're the most gifted at and hide behind the judgment of it. And so when you stop the judgment of it, the gift and the capacity and the brilliance of it can come to light. And so for those of you that are judging you and judging specific areas, you want to ask, what's the gift you're hiding behind your judgment?
Yes.
Really, truly, because when you guys get that, it's not about your weight. It's not about your size. It's not about your age. It's not about your skin color. It's not like, it's really not about any of those things, but it's about, are you willing to step out and be vulnerable in the face of the judgments that you thought you had that were relevant to stopping you. And, like, thank you for being an inspiration and a gift, Betsy. And thank you for choosing to use the tools in the way that, like, we all have our own journey of how it's going to work for us. And we just have to keep going.
Yes.
So I'm so grateful. I had no idea you had lost 100 pounds. I knew you had lost quite a bit of weight, but what a gift. And like, to talk about it. And, you said, we're the ones they're supposed to, like, why nobody's talking about it is because we're the ones supposed to talk about it. And the more we're willing to have these conversations of how to enter into a completely different relationship with the body, one where there is no judgment.
Yeah.
And one where gratitude and possibility is the main composition, or the main choice available on the buffet.
Yeah.
Something different is.
Yeah.
So,
and it truly is possible, you guys. Everybody listening, coming from a former 500-pound person who absolutely hated herself, hated her life, didn't want to be here, judged the hell out of herself every single second of every single day, to now where I am on loving this journey. You can absolutely do it. You've got it, and you're way stronger and more capable than you have any idea. And truly, 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 you can do it.
Amen. Well, Betsy, where can people find you? How can they get your 21-day program, and what else is possible?
Oh, thank you. So my website is creatingyumminess.com. Yay! I love it. And it's so much fun. And I'm so excited. I have a logo that's just getting tweaked right now. So that's going to be launched really soon. And it's just great energy. And my email is accessbetsy@gmail.com. And you can find me on Facebook. And just be good, be kind to yourself, I would say too. That's the kindness that you be to you. And that's what changes everything, the kindness and the gratitude. And like Katherine said, it doesn't matter whether it's something on your body or your bank account or your relationships or all of them. At different times I've chosen things with all of those. And it's really, truly, be kind to you.
Amen. Well, Betsy, I'm so grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking time to join us. And go find Betsy, you guys, at creatingyumminess.com. I freaking love that. And till next time, go out and find something that inspires you and keep choosing for the greatness. So bye, everybody. Thanks for listening. And thank you so much, Betsy.
Thank you, Katherine.
Thank you for joining me on today's episode. If you liked what you heard, if you were inspired, comment, send us an email, let us know what changed for you, and feel free to share with your friends. Also, make sure to subscribe to the podcast to get the latest episodes and inspiration so you can create what hasn't yet been created before. It takes guts to do what you're doing. So if you're ready to be the rebel, follow me on Instagram at Katherine_McIntosh, and follow the No Judgement Diet on Facebook and Instagram for the latest and greatest tips to tap into your brilliance and unleash your awareness. Genius was not created by following the rules.